Today we're going to learn how to change out the simple single pole switch for light. And you might want to do this for a couple of reasons. Maybe your light switch has died. Maybe you just want to spruce it up a little bit and replace it with something newer. Today we're going to do just that. We're going to put in a single pole Decora paddle switch to replace that with. Just kind of spruce it up, give it a nice look. Why don't you come in a little bit closer and we'll take a look. All right, before we work on any energized circuit, the best thing to do is to shut off the breaker at the main panel. Now, my panel is not labeled very well, so I could just shut off every single circuit breaker in the whole thing, and that way I know I'm covered. But this one is my main. It's a 125 amp main breaker. So if I shut this one off, it's going to shut off everything in the house. If you're unsure, the best thing to do is just to shut off every single breaker. Now, I know that this happens to me in my main breaker, so if I shut it off, all my power goes off. Probably a good thing to have a flashlight if you're going to go that route. Okay, so now that we have the power shut off, let's go ahead and take the cover plate off. Throw that away. Alright, so if you're following directions, you turned the main breaker off, or at least turned the circuit off. I recommend getting one of these little testers from one of the home centers. They're about 20 bucks, but they're great for testing circuits, just to make sure power is off. I wouldn't trust my life with it, but you know, for doing something as simple as changing out a switch or an outlet, they're fairly reliable and fairly inexpensive. So I'd recommend picking one of those up if you don't have one already. Now, we can see whoever wired this switch up, instead of connecting their wires to the side terminals, they use what's called a stab back. And those are okay, but most electricians prefer not to use those, and we use the terminals on the side. Terminals on the side are just a little bit better of a connection, more of a positive connection. These springs can and have failed. If you need to use this switch somewhere else, if you've got a garage that it can go in, or storage building or whatever, you can just use a jeweler's screwdriver. There's little tabs in the back that you can stick them in, and those wires will fall right out, good as new. So set this aside, maybe we have another use for it. So now we need to prepare our wires. Pretty simple, we just had two wires going to that switch. One is our hot and the other one goes to the light. It does not matter which terminal they go to. All the switch is doing is making and breaking the connection. So there really is nothing polarized on this at all. So I've got our new switch here. This is a Decora paddle switch. We see these a lot in modern homes. So let's go ahead and get our wires stripped out here. Now, most wire strippers have a little hole on them, and what those are used for are bending horseshoes into the wire, like so. I'll show you why that matters in a moment. What we typically like to do is put them around the screw like that. We want to put it around the screw so it's going clockwise around. And the reason for that is, if I can find my screwdriver, it's on the ground here, is when you tighten the screw, if the wire is going around clockwise, it's going to tighten the wire around the screw. Can you see that? Nice, good, tight connection. Nothing's going to go anywhere. Loose connections are what cause electrical fires, so we want to avoid that. Now, this particular switch, I want to show you this just in case you have one like this at home. It has a little plate on it, and I could have just left the wire straight and put them underneath that plate and done the same thing, tighten it down. That would have worked just fine. The reason I'm using the screws, though, is many switches don't have those. Most of the switches you get are just going to have the screw terminals just like that, and so I wanted to show you that method. But if you happen to get a device that has a plate like that, it's fine to put the wire underneath that too. The point is, you just want to make sure that you've got a good solid connection, nothing's loose, nothing's going to come loose. And also on these paddle switches, you might say, well, how do I know what's on and what's off? It's hard to see on the camera probably, but they do say top. So if it says top, that's the right way, and up is on and down is off. Also, on most devices, the green ground screw is almost always up. So keep that in mind too. Now we just need to do our ground wire. the ground wire just exactly like you do the switch wires. And a little horseshoe in it. Wrap it around the screw so it's going clockwise around the screw. All right, so got our power coming in, our power going out, our ground. Carefully fold everything back into the box, making sure that nothing touches these two terminals. A lot of times these ground wires, if you're not careful when you're tucking things in the box, they'll touch those terminals. Direct short, and direct shorts are not good. You'll know if you get one. All right, so get everything tucked back into the box. Grab a screwdriver or a drill if you've got one. So that's that. Now I just so happen to have right here in my pocket cover plate. Put a nice cover plate on there so everything looks nice, brand new, shiny. It's a real simple thing to do to spruce up your home. Now we could have put a dimmer in here as well, but I'll probably make a video on dimmers later because there are a couple of different dimmers on the market and I want to make sure you understand those. All right, so now before we go turn power on, let's make sure the switch is off just in case, and we'll go ahead and turn power back on and check our work. All right, so we got our new switch in here. We turned our circuit breaker back on, and now it's just a matter of testing it. All right, so our new switch works. That's all there is to it. Now, when I made the comment earlier about how on most devices the ground is up, that's true on switches. It's not true on outlets. Outlets, the ground is usually down low, unless the outlet's upside down, of course. So, anyway, just wanted to make sure you knew that little detail. And let me know in the comments section down below if there's any particular video you'd like to see or like me to make, and I'll see if I can get to it. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and stay safe.